Hi, well, yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. It's such an exciting time because you've just put a new single out. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Yeah, it's really excited to finally be able to share this song. Like, there's been so many people kind of online ask me about it since I started posting like the busking footage and kind of some live clips. So yeah, it's been really nice to share the full thing.
Yeah, and it's been great to see that it's gotten such a positive response because I've seen like comments on Instagram, TikTok. It feels like everybody's loving what you put out there at the moment.
Yeah, no, I hope they're enjoying the record. It's yeah, I'm definitely happy with the way it came out.
Yeah, and can you tell us a bit about the inspiration behind it and what this song means for you?
Sure. So I wrote it a while ago now, back when I was still sort of doing uni, and it was just after I'd finished high school during COVID. So I wasn't really used to socializing, and then I was kind of thrown into uni where I was just meeting people left and right, and that was great. But I guess I just felt as I was kind of getting back into the swing of things without COVID and meeting all these people, somehow I just felt like as I was interacting with all these people and meeting them, I wasn't quite being myself. And I'm not sure if that was because maybe it's just a COVID thing and I just wasn't used to chatting to people. And I felt like everybody around me was maybe just so excited to be social. And I was kind of feeling like a bit, oh, there's too many people, too much going on. And I felt a lot of times that I was maybe putting on a bit of a persona or maybe amping myself up to be maybe more social than I really wanted to be, just because I felt like I needed to kind of fit in with what was happening around me. And so after a while, I was like, hang on, what's going on? Like, why am I doing this? If I don't feel like going out to this event tonight, I can just stay home. Like, there's no pressure to do any of that stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of what the song was born out of.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you've mentioned how it was born because obviously, like with your social media following now, and not wanting to be like as social, how do you find like the people at uni recognize you now that you're putting out songs?
Well, I've stopped going to uni since I've deferred my course, which has been great. Um, I mean, yeah, I think obviously all my friends know what I'm doing and are super supportive, which is fantastic. Um, but in terms of being social, I mean, it's a different thing being on social media to being at uni and just like really meeting people, just seemingly 24/7. And I'm not an introvert. I think I'm quite extroverted. It's just that what I was finding in uni was I was just meeting so many new people. And so it's different when you spend all day at like high school, for example. You kind of know everyone, and so you're being social all day, and like like I'm super energetic. So yeah, I used to love that, but I think it was just like every single person I was meeting was a new person. It's like I got to remember all these names, and it was just overwhelming, even for someone who's pretty extroverted. So I don't find it's an issue on social media, and obviously it's different. Like I can have interactions with people here from my room, which is yeah, nowhere near as crazy as like first semester of uni after we've all been in COVID and everything's just like hitting you like a truck.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense then. And this has come at such a good time because last year you released your debut EP. So I'd love to hear more about like your process when it comes to songwriting and yeah, putting music out there.
Sure. Well, I guess for me, it's all about the stories and the narratives. Like that's why I love music most of all. If I had to put sort of really really pinpoint it, it's just I love the storytelling side of it. Um, and so with the cycle of codependence, that was just me just doing what I do, kind of writing songs. And after I'd written these 5 songs, sort of during being in a relationship and also continuing as that relationship sort of ended. And then I look back at these 5 songs and I was like, hang on, if you put them in this particular order, they actually tell this really connected story. And so that was kind of how I came up with the EP. Um, and yeah, and so obviously, similarly with my mouth, kind of born out of my experiences, I think that I think increasingly people are going to find that my writing's not necessarily tied to my own life experiences. Like I want to be the best storyteller I can be, and so there's so much value to be derived from my lived experience. There's also so much value to be derived from everything outside of that. And so it just happens that with my mouth, with the EP, these are all kind of stories that really are drawn out of my own life experience. But I think as time goes on, some of the songs that I'm going to start releasing are still maybe on a deeper level coming from me and sort of my fears or my feelings, but as narratives and his stories are kind of going beyond that.
Hmm. And you're such a young artist, so it's incredible to see the stories and the work you have put out. But how, as a young artist, how do you balance being true to yourself while also meeting expectations from social media or people that have been in the industry longer than you?
Oh, I don't have an answer for that. It's all a bit new, and things are getting loud, which is interesting. Um, but I don't know. I guess I'm trying to I'm trying to figure it out, as we speak. But I guess I'm trying to remind myself, like, okay, I set out to do this because, like I was saying, I want to tell great stories and I want to write things that I'm really passionate about. And so, yeah, when people are telling me that they prefer the song this way or that way, or when there's sort of people sort of in my team increasingly who are coming with suggestions, or whether because all my friends now are like listening in, and everyone's got an opinion, which is fantastic because it means they care. But when I'm sort of trying to, like, okay, sort my way through that, I think I just gonna keep going back to, okay, at the end of the day, I want to write the best songs, tell the best stories I can tell. And if I've done that and I know that kind of within myself, then all the other noise, like, if that's not really kind of lining up with what I think the best story is, then I can respect it, and I can appreciate and be super grateful for all the input, whether it's from people I know or from people I've never met. But at the same time, just be comfortable and go, okay, gonna very gently put that to the side and just continue on my path. That's kind of hopefully going to end up with the best story.
Yeah, and I think that's an incredible outlook to have as well. And it's definitely going to get you to putting music out there that's true to you as well.
Well, I hope so. We'll find out.
And I love to see that you're still busking. It's good to see that the art of busking hasn't died and that you're still actively out there. So I'd love to hear about your experiences as a busker and how that shapes your musician journey.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think it's brilliant that busking's kind of been making a resurgence since COVID. Like, as a fan as well as an artist, I think it's great for the city of Melbourne. Um, I guess busking can be tough. Like, you get people who are drunk and high, and they want to come and sing with you, and they want to wreck your stuff. And like, there's plenty of horror stories that come with the busking. Um, but I think in terms of what I've gotten out of it, it's been so great for me just to be able to really hone my performance craft. Like, for me, besides songwriting, like, performing live is kind of the thing that I think I really do well. But to be able to go out and play, whether it's in front of 50 people or 6 people and a dog who couldn't care less that I was there, but twice on the weekend or 3 times a week, just kind of repeating, getting better. Like, before I started busking, I wasn't doing any looping. So my whole live show now is like the live looping thing. And that was developed entirely by busking. Like, just having that practice allowed me to actually get really good at the whole technical side of like pressing the pedals and like how to build the whole loop on the spot. And so there's something really powerful about just that ability to repeat the exercise and just get practice and get better. And I also think it's been really great for me to kind of go out and take all these original songs that obviously I think are fantastic, but I have no way of really verifying that. You start playing them for other people, and even if maybe the reaction isn't massive, there's something about singing a song for somebody else and thinking about how that makes you feel. Like, when there's another human in the room, or not in the room, but on the street, there's something about that that's really kind of illuminating. And so to be able to write a song on the Tuesday and then go and play it for people on Saturday, whether there's 80 people really engaged and loving it, or whether there's 6 people who couldn't care because it's a low traffic day that day, like, there's something about that that really just helps me figure out, I'm playing it and there's people and I'm not embarrassed. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm going, wow, this is fantastic. Like, that's something that I always feel like is an important part of my process, is like, okay, I liked it at home, but do I like it when I play it for somebody else? And so that's what busking has really kind of done for me.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like a great way to try out your new songs without like waiting until it's like a proper performance and then finding out that way people aren't connecting with it in the way that you hoped they would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And you've got an upcoming regional tour coming out of Jackbots as well. So I'd love to hear like what you have in store for that. And is anything that you're keen to explore or showcase?
Actually, that's finished. So
Oh,
I just
sorry.
finished the tour. It's all right. So it was great. So I mean, the tour is still going. I played 7 shows on the tour. So that was fantastic. Like, watching Jack and his whole crew kind of play, and just watching how they went about, I guess, everything around the shows. Like, that was the big learning for me. Like, like we've been talking about, like I've been busking and getting all this experience playing live. So in a sense, getting up there and opening these shows, it's not like the crowds were like way bigger than things I've played for. Obviously they were incredible, and everyone was lovely, and the more people I can play for, the better. So in that sense, it was great, but it wasn't like this like overwhelming experience like the first time that you get up on stage and play. Like I've kind of done that enough times where a stage is a stage. I kind of know what I'm doing. I can play my songs and it'll be fine. What was totally new was like, okay, this morning we're driving 4 hours to this town over here, and then the sound check is at 2:30, but the hotel only opens at 3. So you've got to, okay, do the sound check, pack back up, go back to the hotel because you want to have a shower because you've been driving all day, then drive back to the gig, play the show, come back, and you're falling asleep in a strange hotel. Like all the stuff kind of around the shows, I'd never done any of that because I've been really just playing and performing in Melbourne. And yeah, of course, to hang out with Jack and all the other guys on the tour was great.
Yeah, it sounds like really long days, but it's good that you're able to do it with someone like Jack, who's a seasoned musician and can give you that experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and lastly, yes, looking ahead for the rest of the year, what are your plans? Do you have any goals or big things you want to achieve this year?
Oh, I mean, I have lots that I want to achieve this year, but I guess it's one of those things where if you had told me in January that my audience would have multiplied by 10, and I'd be would have just toured with Jackpots, I would have been like, yeah, rubbish. So it's kind of hard to project what's going to happen because these things kind of tend to be stagnant, and then move really fast. So I guess to be more general, like I want to keep playing for as many people as I can. I want to release as much music as I can. I have so many songs that I've written that I'd love to just record and release. And obviously as a, sort of independent younger artist, like, sort of coming up with the money to like go into the studio and record these songs is not necessarily trivial, but yeah, sort of, to be able to continue doing that as much as possible is definitely a big goal. So I've released one song this year, and hopefully I can, put out at least another 5 by the end of the year. That would be the goal. And then, whether it's supporting more tours or getting, I'm playing a show in May, which is my own headline show at the Workers Club, which would be fantastic. And, just yeah, whatever it is, just like playing for more people is definitely a goal of mine. But I guess into like from a more practical perspective, I'm definitely just going to just focus on like, okay, today, what am I doing? Like I'm going to write some songs. I'm going to, respond to some people on social media, work hard and sleep well. And that's kind of where my focus will be, because I feel like there's so much going on and it's just so hard to predict, what's going to happen next month, next week even. So yeah, sorry for that very vague answer.
Oh, that's okay. It was great because it sounds like you've got a great year ahead, and we're very excited to see what you get up to and listen to other music that you put out there as well.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for whatever happens.
Yes. And it's good that it's unpredictable too, because that way, sometimes it can be easier to plan. Because sometimes if you plan something and it doesn't go to plan, but if it's unpredictable, then it is what it is, and some great things come out of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I like, just as a person, like without even talking about music, I really like making plans and kind of having a structure and being a bit more rigid. And the more time I spend in the music industry, the more I realize that just doesn't fly. So I've got to try hard not to like try and plan too many things, because I make a plan on Monday and by Wednesday it's out the window. So that's yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to be working on.
Exactly. Yeah. And thank you. Was there any other comments you want to add about this particular release or about your music? Oh, sorry, I did want to ask one more too, because you've got such a like diverse cultural background, which is very interesting, because I love to hear like how that shaped you into like your music, because it is so diverse.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so first of all, I speak Swiss German, not like a native. I'm not fluent, but my Swiss German is pretty good. Like I can chat to the family. I could get around. Um, and it's hard to put my finger on exactly what that kind of thing does. But I think there is something about speaking a second language, in your brain, kind of maybe changes certain things. I mean, there are a lot of people talk about how people who speak different languages kind of view the world slightly differently. Um, so I think that's probably doing something positive somehow. But then I think just more generally growing up, hearing different languages and being surrounded by different cultures, and being exposed to a bit more diversity than maybe is commonplace in Australia. Like, go over to grandma's house for dinner, and we're having Indian food, and then next week the family from Switzerland is coming over and hanging out with us, and just even just within the family is quite the melting pot. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess that kind of opens your mind a little bit, and I guess I'm quite conscious of the fact that I'm quite often an outsider, and that's not even like that's not strictly a cultural or racial thing. That's just like as a person, that just happens to be how I am as well. But I think that there's something about being exposed to that kind of diversity that kind of changes your perspective around the diversity you might see in others. And so it's when I see someone who's very different to myself, it's much easier, I imagine, to go, okay, well, it's not that they're different, it's that we're all kind of different. Like, it's not that they're different because I have all these things about myself that are really different and don't match up to the people I recognize. So it's much less jarring in a sense than I imagine it might be if you're sort of growing up in a way where yeah, everything's kind of more similar.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. It's just interesting here because it's interesting when you see like so many different cultures come together to create music that's, universal as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of sitting here floundering. Like, it's definitely hard for me to sort of, yeah, pinpoint the exact impact. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said I mean, obviously there's a lot to be said for diversity. But certainly the impact on art is can't be understated.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and we look forward
Yeah,
to
no, my pleasure.
hearing what else you've had out there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to sharing it.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.